Okay, hopefully you did the first question first and came to this one afterwards. This is Lab 5.5 question 2. And here we don't have the same template that we had in the previous question, Lab 5.5 question 1. So we're going to have to put a lot of those extra items in those headings in our income statement here as we're building it. So let's give ourselves some room to work. And we've got plenty of room, so there we go. Let's start as we did on the other one with sales. And the sales item resides down here, 354,000. And then we're going to take off the sales returns and allowances. So the sales discounts shows up next. And if you remember from the last income statement, the sales discounts gets added together with sales returns and allowances. $11,500 in this case, and it gives us net sales as a result. So we need to add those two together and then calculate net sales. And from that we deduct cost of goods sold, and we have that number over here. We've also used that already. Take that off. Cost of goods sold is $110,500, which gives us gross profit from sales. And then from that we're deducting operating expenses, so we should look for a heading. Whoops, want to do that. Headings and totals, and we want operating expenses, which is right here. And we're going to start with selling expenses, and those selling expenses will be listed below here. Then we calculate them in this column, and then add them together in this column to come up with the total operating expenses for the right-hand column over here. So selling expenses, what kinds of things would qualify as selling expenses? Well, depreciation expense on the store equipment would qualify for $19,000, and office supplies wouldn't, but rent expense on the selling space would. $65,000. We had store supplies expense, and there we have it here as well, $69,500. And then we will have total selling expenses, which would be the total of all of those. Then we're going to have general and admin, that one. And that will include depreciation expense on the office equipment. Get it to move here, there we go, for $12,000. And office supplies expense, presumably in the office. Wow, that's a lot of office supplies we use. Rent expense on the office space, $92,500. As we go down, sales, salaries, expense. So we need a little more room up here under the selling expenses, because that's what we pay our salespersons, $93,000. We accountants are very happy about that, because if they don't sell anything, we don't have anything to account for. So presumably we should have some office staff salaries, but apparently the office staff, the accountants, and the president are working for free here. So I don't see any other expenses. That should be it for the total general and admin expenses. And then that's going to be total operating expenses. And that will give us a gain or loss. Let's assume it's a loss, and then we'll fix it if we're wrong. So with the selling expenses, we need to add them up here. And then we're going to add up the general admin expenses. And our total operating expenses will come over here. And we did actually lose. And of course that needs to be restated as a negative number to make it appear positive here. Okay, then from there we have other expenses and revenues. So let's try that. There we go, other revenues and expenses right there. And that will include rent earned for $181,500. And we had interest expense before, but it doesn't look like we've got any interest expense. It says we have a net loss of $18,000, which is interesting. I think we've accounted for it all. So I guess we could actually pull that over to this far side, and it still becomes a net loss, but not as much of a net loss. So the amount of the net loss is $18,000, which agrees with what we have over here. And so we essentially use the last income statement from question 1 as our template to build this income statement for question 2. A lot less direction on this one and a lot fewer points, so we only get 40 points for this one. Let's see what lyrics like. Lyrics liked our work, so we are done.